We sniff glue to forget what has happened in our lives. You don't feel like yourself when you're high. And you don't remember much of what has happened.
Jails for children, they're like medieval dungeons. They're small cells with steel bars on the gates and on the windows. They are locked inside, so many, overcrowding in a small space.
A ruthless war against drugs is being waged in the Philippines, and a countless number of children are among its casualties. Thousands of children live on the streets because their parents are either in prison or dead. A large number of children living on the streets have parents that are too poor to take care of them. The street is the home for thousands of children whose well-being doesn't really interest anyone. Christian, 17, is the leader of a gang that lives inside a bridge in Manila. The children chose this place to make it harder for adults to reach them, especially the police, who often harass children on the streets.
Some of us who live here have parents, and some are orphans. We all stay here because we all come from Quiapo. This is where we kill time, even though it's dangerous here. Being here isn't good for us, especially when you think about what could happen. One of us fell. He was like a rotten vegetable. There was no use in taking him to the hospital. When we called for help, no one came. They thought we had done something wrong, and that our friend had committed a crime and was on the run.
These children would rather risk life on the streets than to be taken into care, which in the Philippines works like a prison. The youngest members of Christian's gang are only 8 years old.
We're happy despite the conditions. Although we have problems, we're not bothering anyone. We're doing anything bad. We're really proud of ourselves, even though we can't go to school. We know that we live a difficult life, but even if we live in the streets, it still feels like home.
According to the estimates, Manila has 30,000 street children. They beg or steal to get food. Their main aid comes from organizations that help children. In the bloody war against drugs in the Philippines, these children are left even more exposed to the hard hand of the law.
The children in Quiapo, many of them have very little contact with their families, so they're really living in a peer group, mostly supporting each other. They have very, very high rates of contact with the law, and most of the time it's very, very negative contact, very high rates of experiencing police violence and torture. They're frequently arrested arbitrarily, they're detained. There's some substance abuse amongst them and amongst the people that should be caring for them, particularly their parents. There's high rates of incarceration of their family members. So it's a very difficult group of children to work with.
Christian's gang lives in Quiapo, a poor suburb of Manila, the capital of the Philippines. The front of its famous Catholic church is the home of the poor. Many of the members of Christian's gang still have parents. Christian only has a father, somewhere far away. In Quiapo, he has a new family, his gang of street children, where he takes care of the smaller ones.
We regard each other as siblings, as equals. That way, there's no arguments. What are we doing on this pedestrian bridge? We're selling rosaries so that we can buy food. When it comes to earning a living, we're fighters.
It's a hard life for the families of the children of Quiapo, caught in the midst of the war on drugs instigated by President Duterte, where the poor, accused of being drug dealers, are killed or locked away. Raids are part of everyday life, at least in these places, where the parents of Christian's young friends live. The street children of Quiapo are often arrested. The leaders of the Philippines want to lower the age of criminal liability from the current 15 to 9 or 12. This means that even younger children could see themselves behind bars.
With the age of 12 that can already be put inside the detention facilities, that will be, you would count how many children from 12 to 15 that will be put to jail, and then you still have this war on drugs that also put people in jail instead of doing rehabilitation, community-based intervention. This is really problematic, and the justice system is not yet ready for that.
That a lot of children are now afraid, especially those on the streets, those children which do not have a permanent home. We have also interviewed children in street situations who are now afraid because they feel like anytime they can be just arrested once they are pointed as children who are involved in drug use.
The NGO Bahay Tuluyun helps the children on the streets. The children of Quiapo alert Louise Suamen when they're in trouble.
A couple of our youth partners who were picked up by the police last night, and we were here this morning and we talked with them, and they were not yet pressed with any charges, and we were told that we have to go fetch their parents so they could be maybe released, but we got their parents come here, but they were not released, and there were no inquests yet, there were no charges pressed against yet, but there were person of interest for a robbery incident that happened last night.
Christian has gone missing. One of the children saw the police take him, but now no one knows where he is. Sometimes street children are arrested without a reason. Many tell of torture and interrogation in the institutions. So, Louise Suamen has called the representatives of the Commission on Human Rights. Christian was arrested because the police were looking for a pickpocket, but now he's free again.
It was my first time in jail. The police from Lawton ran into us and accused us of stealing. But we weren't stealing. We were just accused of it because the police saw us hanging around. They made me a scapegoat. Police beat me until I passed out. Even while I was in hospital, I still felt afraid of them. The doctor knew I was in pain and asked who had beaten me up.
Una, ang muling pagkabuhay ng Panginoon natin, ang masabi natin na
Kaya kinakabahan ako sa sabi
My
ko
heart is
na
pounding because I'm afraid
na mahuli ako ng
that I'll be
walang
arrested for no good reason.
Kaya dinadama
I
na
sniff
lang
solvents to forget about
para
it.
makalimutan ko siya, di kaya mawala yung kaba
I
ko.
remind myself that I really haven't done anything
Na
wrong.
wala naman talaga akong ginagawa.
The war against drugs has hardened attitudes towards crime, and this also goes for children. Thousands of adults and dozens of children have been killed in police operations in recent years, and thousands of children have lost their parents because of this war.
Okay, good evening.
The police in Batasan are planning a raid.
Goal for tonight, this will be
They're searching for drug dealers, children who sniff glue, and minors on the streets after the curfew, 10 p.m. During the past 2 years, the police have arrested over 1,300 children for drug-related crimes. Even tonight, the group is targeting 2 underage methamphetamine dealers.
If we will count in the number of arrests, every month we minimum 100 arrests per month. So that's still a lot compared to what it should be now because it is already 3 years since we're on drugs.
Where are the substances?
Where is the methamphetamine?
Saan siya, bo? So, where's the target? Here?
This one, sir. This one, the
There.
target.
Come here. Where's the money?
Come here.
Buy-bus money.
Hey,
Stand up. Tayo ka lang.
Relax ka lang, tayo ka lang.
Ilan taong ka na?
Hindi po ako nagbibenta niyan, sir.
Ilan taong ka na?
16 po.
Ha?
16.
Ilan?
16.
16. So, he said he's only 16 years old. How about you? Ikaw? Ilan taong ka na? Ilan taong ka na?
17 po.
17. Recently, one of my operatives came in this house and bought 200 pesos amount of shabu. So, when we positively bought the shabu, he came back to our vehicle and showed to us that he really bought the shabu. So, immediately we conducted the arrest. These boys are runners or couriers of the illegal drugs. But when their boss is not around, after this, we will be turning them over to the social workers prior to their inquest.
Drug dealing is a major risk, even for minors. According to the statistics, over 100 children have been killed over 3 years in the war against drugs.
Those drugs weren't ours. We were playing Mobile Legends when the raid started.
Do you go to school?
I have stopped. We no longer have money for it. Mom's salary only covers food.
This is everyday life for those who live in extreme poverty. The boy's other brothers are already in prison for different reasons. The 16-year-old knows that he will go to a correctional facility. Maybe for a long time. Lieutenant Caparaso understands that many crimes stem from extreme poverty. But he believes that there is no alternative to arresting them.
for me, being in the service for almost 15 years, I have encountered a lot of minors. When I say minor, those are 14 years old, 13 years old. They are involved in crimes already, even in their age. For me, it is better if we only lessen the penalty, but we still have to arrest them because they're taking advantage of that situation that I'm only a child, so I will not be put in jail. So that's the dilemma that we are facing.
Every night, the station is filled with children who have broken curfew. They get to go home if their parents are to be found. Otherwise, they will be taken into a shelter.
Quiapo is one of the areas with the most street children.
Damn, the social workers are taking you away.
Come with us. It's okay.
This is how Manila solves its social issues. The streets are forcibly emptied in the morning of those who have no time to run. According to UNICEF, the Philippines have a couple million abandoned or discarded children. They run from the social services rescue operation.
Have you seen a mother and child who are always in this area? Do you sell food here? Come on, let's go together. Just take it easy. Come with us. Have you eaten anything? Where did you come from?
Our house. We're just selling. We're selling. What is it? What do you have in your hand? We're selling. My family is there.
Actually, children don't want to be in institutions. They feel it's easier on the streets, where they only have to beg and they can do what they please. The problem is that the children go back to the streets, even though they have been returned to their families. We have here a 15-year-old mother with a year-old child. Sometimes we have babies who have been taken with their mothers.
The rescue of the street children is like a never-ending circle, where children are taken, released back to the streets, and taken again. Inside the same gate is a shelter for the homeless and a correctional facility for children who have committed crimes. The Human Rights Commission consider both places as prison.
I would have to agree. Some of this facility are prison-like, meaning to say they have rooms which have bars, doors, which have metal steel being used as doors. There are very few sleeping spaces, not enough for all children. Just stay inside the room the whole day, doing nothing.
Children who end up here often come from alleys like these. Extreme poverty in the center of Manila. Raymond's mother has asked an NGO to help her. The police arrested her son and took him to an institution because the boy threw a stone that broke a windshield from a passing bus.
Did the windscreen break?
Of course, a screw hit the glass.
This is the third time Raymond has been arrested. For the first time, he ended up in a youth correctional facility because he is over 15 years old.
Raymond cried a lot. He was held down. The police threatened to slap him if he wouldn't stop, and he was really crying. My nephew said, "Try to hit a small boy. You can't hurt him."
The owner of the bus demanded that the mother pay over 80 euros. But those who live in these alleys can't afford it.
I said to them, "I sell flowers on the street." He said to me, "The situation is this, old woman, that if you won't pay, we take the boy into an institution and he'll be in jail for 2 years." I said, "No, this can't be. He's still a minor and he hasn't killed anyone."
Raymond and Reynold live with their mother and 2 siblings in terrible conditions. They've hardly ever gone to school. They've encountered the police a lot more than that.
I hope Raymond won't experience what I've made it through. He definitely wouldn't like it. He might want to commit suicide in the institution. Many take their lives because it's so bad there. The food is terrible. Even the rice is uncooked.
The mother goes to the city hall to ask the prosecutor if charges have been filed against the boy. It turns out that charges haven't been filed yet, but the child has been taken into an institution for a small crime.
Is Raymond now in jail?
Yes, he is.
Apparently, he had broken a windshield.
It wasn't intentional.
Bahay Tuluyun has grown accustomed to saving children who have been imprisoned for small crimes or for no reason at all. They help mothers navigate a complicated web of bureaucracy to find their children. The gates of the center open, and you can hear children crying from the passing car. They're moved from the city to another center, Boys Town.
Raymond's case might be over on Wednesday because it was a small crime, just small vandalism.
He's a minor, only 16.
After the authorities clean up, 2 children are released from the shelter. According to the law, children under 15 can't be jailed. First, a social worker takes the boys' information in order to find their families. Many street children do have a family.
What is your name?
Maricel.
He has been wandering around.
Yes.
Social workers caught him again.
Street children almost always come from broken homes. The parents are often too exhausted to take care of children. Maricel has 6 children. They live in a small room, and Maricel sells used clothing with her sister. That normally isn't even enough for a day's meal.
I'm a single parent. In order to get food daily, I go around selling secondhand clothes with my older sister. I also work in booking. I do anything that is available. I'll take things to a pawn shop. Because of my work, I can't always take care of my children all the time.
Raymond's mother returns to the correctional facility after 3 nights. The boy should be released today. The boy leaves the building with shortened hair.
We slept on plastic mats, on cement floor.
This is a correctional facility that takes 15 to 18-year-olds. Priest Shay Cullen has arrived to his regular rescue missions, to the Marinica Youth Home. He has seen many children under 15 years old in these places. The children are practically locked up and vulnerable to violence from the older ones. Shay Cullen's foundation, PREDA, is one of the registered ones to which authorities give children to be taken care of from overcrowded children's homes. Today, 2 youths go with him. John Paul and Rolando have been locked up several times now, the reason often being breaking the curfew. Rolando is only 14, and according to the law, too young to be there. In Manila, minors can't be on the streets alone after 10 p.m. Shay Cullen searches for the children's parents to tell them that the boys are taken to PREDA's shelter outside of Manila, in Olongapo. John Paul's father is a single parent. His wife left when the child was 5 years old. Like many poor Filipinos, this father works for weeks on end on construction sites far away from home. The pay is poor. The children are used to being home alone from a young age.
Dito lang sa bahay naman. Kaso yung kuminsan, pinupuntahan siya ng mga
Sometimes I'm so tired from work
barkada ng mga kaibigan.
that when I come home, I eat and go to bed
Sa taas lang naman kami.
because I have to leave for work early in the morning.
Siyempre kung minsan sa sobrang pagod ko, pagdating ko rito, pakaluto ko, kain.
We won't have food unless I work.
Naman ang alis ko.
I don't care about losing my wife, but I don't want to lose my children.
Gaya nga, sabi ko, di ba mawala ako ng asawa, ayaw ko mawala ng anak. Dahil mahirap mag-ano.
I'm old. I hope that one day the children will take care of me.
Ang ano ko lang, yung balang araw, mag-aalaga sa akin.
One parent left them, but they understand that I didn't abandon them.
Niwanan sila ng magulang nila. Hindi ko sila pabayaan.
Even though I couldn't send them to school,
Hindi sila nakapag-aral.
they didn't starve.
Na hindi ko sila ginutom.
Shay Cullen takes the boys to the shelter at PREDA. The Irish priest has been saving Philippine children since the 1960s. This estate in the countryside is a home for boys who would otherwise be in prison under the control of the authorities. Here, the boys draw about their experiences in children homes.
This is one of the pictures of the children drawing about what happened to him inside. He's only a small little boy, and tumayo ka dito, look. He's only a small boy, not even 12 years old. He's been inside the jail, behind bars, and they tortured him there. He showed here that this is, they gave him electric shock as a punishment, no? This is a guard, and anong nangyari dito sa inyo? Bakit? Sa kulungan, parang na isolation room. They put them isolated, no, as a punishment.
Kulungan yun siya. Kasi may mga ano din siya, may mayor. Parang daig pa talaga kulungan.
They have directors who want us to massage them.
Pa po nag-iossi sa loob.
Some have mental illnesses,
Nag-iossi sa loob. Tapos may ano
and
po
they
dun,
threaten you with knives.
balog pong bata. Tinututukan nila ng kutsilyo sa leg. Tapos sinusundot-sundot nila.
Well, there's many of these jails for children. They're like medieval dungeons. They're small cells with steel bars on the gates and on the windows. They are locked inside, so many, overcrowding in a small space. They don't have beds in most of these places. They sleep on the concrete floor. There's many places the toilets are full of dirt and stuffed up. There's no running water. They only shower sometimes twice a week if they're allowed. They go hungry. And inside there's severe abuse. And bigger boys are the ones who are raping, beating, and bullying the small children.
Shay Cullen has seen and photographed much over the decades and documented the conditions of the children taken into care. He says that the Philippine authorities treat the children like criminals, even though the law doesn't allow it. Even children under 10 have ended up behind bars.
The government does not follow the law. They do not recognize the rights of the child, you know. They do not care for them. And when they're found on the streets or there is a complaint against a child for begging or taking food in the market for survival to live and to eat, they put them in the jail. At least they get some grotty food in the jail. They stay alive, but it's a horrible existence inside the cell. And much abuse happens in those children's cells.
Thousands of children live without their parents because they've been imprisoned in the war against drugs. Over 30,000 children became orphaned, and the parents of almost 500,000 children went to jail in the first year of the drug war. These children have learned to take care of themselves. Johnny wakes up early.
I'm peeling onions. If I don't peel onions, sometimes I carry stuff. I help out in the market where I can get a little bit of money.
Johnny lives with his Nan. Nan doesn't know that Johnny works at night. She just thinks that Johnny sleeps over at his friend's place. The war against drugs has made grandmothers important protectors of children from dangers. Johnny and Sandra have lived with their Nan since their mother and father wound up in prison because of drugs. The children had to watch their parents get arrested. Life already wasn't easy. The living their parents made was from odd jobs, but at least Johnny got to go to school.
For 2 years, Johnny hasn't had a father or a mother to pay for school. It's only me, his Nan. I don't make enough money to school him. Since I have 5 or 6 children staying at my place, there is no money for school.
Right now, the family can only afford to send Sandra to school.
It makes me cry. Things wouldn't be like this if my daughters would have just listened to my advice. The children wouldn't have to grow up like this. They would go to school and behave. This is so hard alone. I want to work for the police.
Why?
I want to catch drug users.
Johnny, Sandra, and Nan go to see the children's mother, who has been jailed in a drug rehab clinic. The children haven't seen their mother in months because they can't afford the trip. The prison has allowed us to film their private meeting in the office.
Si Jasmine at si Joyce doon sa kanya. Not need. Promise paglabas ko dito as kasi.
Give Mum time to change. You get to go to school when I get out of here.
Basta sa malinis na paraan.
Tingin ko,
Kayanin mo yun.
I can't talk about the situation with my children because I see how it hurts them. I'm sorry for what I've done to them, especially Johnny, because he can't finish school. I don't want their life to go the same way as mine. They should live good lives and not repeat my mistakes.
Just like many other children, Sandra and Johnny come from a broken home.
We live here in Tondo, Manila. Life is difficult because our home is only a shack and we get wet when it rains. Also, the heat is a nuisance and there are mosquitoes.
16-year-old Mary Grace is expecting her first child. She didn't mean to get pregnant, but her and her boyfriend never learned about contraception. Abortion here is illegal, and sexual education is barely an afterthought.
I only went to school for 6 years, and I'm still working on making my dreams a reality.
Mary Grace shares a studio flat with her mother and a 2-year-old brother. Her second brother sleeps outside.
I was shocked when I found out I was pregnant. I didn't know I could get pregnant. I was just shocked. When I met Michael, he used to take me everywhere. I experienced things with him that I hadn't with my mum. He would take me to places, and I tried different types of food. He bought me things I couldn't buy myself because we don't have money. He's nice.
Mary Grace is one of 200,000 teens who will give birth this year in the Philippines. According to the Commission on Population, 24 children are born every hour to teen mothers. The majority of these mothers are children themselves, who had to drop out of school. Mary Grace's partner has been jailed under conditions that are considered normal in Manila. The young man was accused of stealing bottles of Coca-Cola. He denies the charges, but endures the conditions humbly.
It's okay in here. It's just hard to sleep between all these people. You have to queue to take a shower.
The only thing that counts here is hope, and that never runs out. Mary Grace also hopes that her child will be better off and more educated than them, and won't end up in jail.
I will take good care of my baby. It won't live like I have. My baby will go to school.